I'm going to talk about how we can do some linear regression on the Usain Bolt dataset. Let's start by opening Jupyter Lab, and it should pop up in just a second. I have all this information that I don't necessarily need right now, and Jupyter Lab opens up, and I've already started working on coding this into a notebook, so I've already got a little bit of markdown. So this is about the runner Usain Bolt, and he had a world record-breaking 100-meter run in 2009 that took 9.69 seconds. I've stored the data for this run in this file, boltdata.csv. And you can see I'm working in this Math 475 Statistical ML Linear Regression Bolt directory that I created just for this. So first, let's import pandas as PD. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to have bolt data equals pd.read_csv. I'm going to call it bolt df for data frame since that's our custom. So bolt df equals pd.read_csv bolt data.csv. And I don't like this. I get a file not found error. So what is going on with that error? So we were in the Math 475 Statistical ML Linear Regression Bolt directory inside of our Jupyter Notebook browser. So doesn't Jupyter know that that's where I'm looking for files? Sadly, the answer is no. What determines Jupyter's working directory, where it can look for files, is determined by where you open the application from. So because I was in the AD Pinland directory, when I open Jupyter Lab, that's where it's looking for the files. I can determine my working directory by using to determine your working directory, use the magic command $PW. That stands for print working directory. So if I do $PW, that tells me, hey, you're in the user's AD Pinland directory right now. So to change your directory, you can use the magic command cd, and it's expecting an argument which will be the new directory that you're working with. So it should be the case that I can do this with my users/AD Pinland. And for me, this directory was inside AD Pinland, so I can change this to be the working directory I want. And now if I try the same command, I'm in the right directory, so it should work. Fingers crossed. Yes, it seems to have worked. So now we can just verify that by running some command to give us something and see, okay, this is exactly what I wanted, so this is great. I now have the CSV file loaded into a data frame, and I can start working with it. Now I have this data frame that holds Usain Bolt's time and position data from his 2009 run. And another useful command that I can use on a data frame is I can use the info command. So info also gives me what you would expect. So it tells me that I have two data columns with 11 entries. It tells me that my time consists of 11 non-null floating point entries, which are basically decimal numbers, and my position consists of 11 non-null integers because these 0, 10, 20 are integers. So that's helpful information to me. What I'm going to want to do now is I'm going to want to try to visualize this for linear regression. So there are lots of good data plotting libraries in Python. You don't have to use the ones that I use. You're welcome to find any that you like and use them. But one of the most basic is called matplotlib. If you don't already have the library installed, You can install it directly from your Jupyter notebook by using your magic commands. And you should be able to do either %pip3 install matplotlib or %conda install matplotlib, depending on which of these package managers you're using. You can install this the same way that you installed pandas, so whatever you did for that should work to install matplotlib. Let's look at the matplotlib, what it says about itself. In particular, we're going to be looking first at a library inside matplotlib called pyplot. That matplotlib is a state-based interface, matplotlib.pyplot is a state-based interface to matplotlib. It provides a MATLAB-like way of plotting. Many people like MATLAB's plots, so they wanted something that could do that. It's mainly intended for interactive plots and simple cases of programmatic plot generation. So if you're looking for something that's more involved or complicated, this is not the right tool. You'll notice they have a code syntax example. We can ignore the parts that involve NumPy. What we just need to see is how do you import it and how can we get started with using it. So I'm going to do what they said to do. I'm going to do plt.plot, and I need the x, which will be the Bolt df time, and the y, which will be the Bolt df position. I hit Shift Enter. Okay, it gives me this line plot, which is okay. I would really rather have a scatter plot. I don't think it's trying to fit a line to the points that I had. This shows me the data is pretty linear. That's helpful, but I would rather see a scatter plot. So let me see in the matplotlib.pyplot documentation. Okay, so in this documentation, let's see if I search for scatter. Okay, so it says scatter x, y. It gives me a scatter plot of y versus x. So I would rather have that. Let me change that instead to plt.scatter. Okay, that's more helpful. I see here the data looks pretty linear, although there is this curved trend that, especially at the very beginning of the race, if you think about a runner, their average velocity starts out slower, and you can see that right here with how the slopes between the points changes. But certainly after this point it looks pretty linear.